appreciate everybody being here at the Smart Family Media Center today as we begin the first of our weekly press conferences on Tuesdays with Coach Swinney. I'd also like to welcome our audience listening live on Clemson Plus, as well as through our partners at Fox Carolina and 105.5 The Roar FM. Also like to thank those who watched and listened to our partners last night for Clemson All Access with Dabo Swinney, as well as Tiger Hour with Dabo Swinney, including the roughly 150 people who got in on the text line to submit questions. For this group here, media credential applications remain open for our home opener against App State. Those will close on Wednesday, September 4th. We'll ask, because of the live audience, we'll ask that you please project your voices toward the microphones for the benefit of our listening audience so they can hear your questions today. Our format will be standard. Coach Swinney will have some opening comments, then we'll go to questions in the room, and if time permits, before he needs to exit at 11:45, we'll go to questions virtually. So, Coach, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Ross. Good to see everybody. I know everybody's excited, just like we are, that it's game week and get a chance to get back into game mode around here. But everybody's ready to kick it off. Excited to see our guys go play and compete, see where we are and see where we go from there. But it's been a good camp, had good preparation. I think we've got a committed team. I've enjoyed these last several weeks, just being with these guys, the leadership, their attitude, again, the work ethic. It's been a lot of fun to prepare. For the most part, we're a pretty healthy team, which is a real positive for us coming out of camp. I'm excited about that. Just got one goal, and that's to find a way to achieve our first goal. That's really what we're trying to go down to Atlanta and do, and certainly going to be a huge challenge. And playing a game like this is usually you only get opportunities like this in the postseason, in the playoffs, in a national championship. But this just happened to be on our schedule, so it's a great opportunity to play the best team in the country right out of the gate, and that's what they are. If anybody don't think they're the best team in the country, then they probably hadn't paid much attention. These guys are really, really good. Kirby has done a tremendous job down there, and they got a lot of guys back. Starting on the offensive side. I mean, you got a Heisman quarterback. He's a very, very good football player. They've lost 2 games in 3 years, and and part of that is they're they're a very, very physical football team on both sides of the ball. So you got to be able to match that. And then, by nature of scheme, you got to win competitive plays. I think that's a big thing in a game like this. But starting with their quarterback, he's just a very good player. And, the kid he's accurate. He's opportunistic with his legs. He really understands their scheme. They do a great job in really, making you play assignment football with how they formation in motion and mix, the inside zone game with their toss game and their counter game, in multiple ways that they do that with the play actions and screens built into it, and they got dudes that can make plays down the field. But I think Carson is accurate. I think he's a great vertical thrower. So just puts a lot of pressure on you. And then offensive line, there's probably none better in the country. This is a really, really talented group, very experienced, and big, strong backs, a lot of skill on the edges. They, got a couple guys returning that have had a lot of experience in production in 6 and 86 and 11. He's probably as fast a guy. We recruited him out of high school. He's probably as fast a guy as we're going to see. That guy can really, really stretch the field. And then they brought in a couple of guys, obviously Colby coming over from Miami. So, just a complete group on that side of the ball and very experienced. And you know what you're getting. And then over on the defensive side, same thing. Big, long, athletic, physical. Got pass rushers. They got some sub-package stuff that they do where they're going to get their best rushers on the field. You live in 3rd and long on these guys. It's a really a tall task. So, one of the best safeties you're going to see in the country in 24. Great player. But again, 13, 97, 11. I mean, they got guys that can get after the passer, and they're Georgia. So they have a few new faces, but they all look the same. You know, they all can run. They're all strong. They're all physical. Not a lot of room for error with these guys. And good kicker, punter, dangerous in the return game. So again, that's why they're the number one team in the country. And you gotta play well right out of the gate to have a chance to win a game like this. So excited about it. Looking forward to it. And we won't have to wait long. Be able to wake up Saturday and get right after it.
Coach, Georgia lost a lot of his offensive production in the NFL in Powers and McConkey. Brought in a really good tight end from Stanford. You mentioned the receiver from Miami. What you know of their roster, how do you expect them to replace that offensive production?
Yeah, Delp. I mean, if you watched him last year, I mean, he's a great player. Another kid we recruited, number 4. He's made a bunch of plays for him last year. He'll and then they just added, the kid, the transfer. So I don't see any change. I mean, they're really, really loaded it back. They brought in ETN, so he's a great football player. I know they got one kid that's out, but that kid from Mississippi, we recruited him too. So I got to meet him in person. He's that guy's. He is. Go take a picture of him in pregame. You wait till you see that guy. So I think the biggest thing is you obviously you got to win your share of battles up front, and I think the competitive plays. But tackling is always at a premium. Openers are hard. Openers are always hard. I mean, in college football especially. I don't think it's as hard in high school or the pros because you get preseason games and scrimmages where you get more live football and you can kind of work out. We don't get that in college. So, I mean, tackling is always at a premium, but against a bunch like this, by nature of who their blockers are and their backs, tackling will be critical in this game. So, they lost some skill, but like I said, they got all kind of guys that are there and have already made plays for them, and a couple of new guys that maybe haven't made plays at Georgia yet, but they've made plays where they came from, or it's heard some good reviews on a couple of the high school kids that have come in there as well.
Because it's been a long camp and you've had time to prepare, do you change your game week preparation schedule at all and kind of let them get their legs under them, or is it, no, this is our regular game week?
No, it's definitely, I mean, you try to create the game week routine this week, but it's different. It'll be a different week next week when you have, truly have 5 days to get ready for a new opponent. You've had a lot of time to get ready for these guys, so yeah, you got to be smart in how you get them ready. Monday is similar. Tuesday, Wednesdays are tough practices, but with this particular week, again, you have this type of emphasis and you get the things you need to get done, but not quite as long as practice would be next week when you're looking at the opponent for the first time with your guys.
Jaden Lucas and Shelton Lewis, I guess, what's their status going into the week?
Oh, everybody's right now ready to play. Everybody's good to go.
Shelton included?
Good to go until you hear otherwise. Everybody's day to day. Everybody's day to day.
I guess this is going to be a few practices this week for the kicking competition. It's still really tight.
Hoosier's going to be the kicker. He's won the job in camp.
You mentioned ETN coach's status is still kind of up in the air for the game, but how is he similar or different from his brother? You've seen him.
He's fast. He's explosive. He's I'd say more similar than not. He breaks tackles. He's got speed. Probably a little thicker than maybe Trav was. At that stage of his career, but. They're both obviously great players.
What do you see from Hoosier to kind of win the competition?
More go through the upright than the other guy. Just that simple. I mean, it's not subjective. It's cut and dry. And so, he just had, and again, that could change next week, could change in 2 weeks, but he clearly won the job. And it's not like it was tied. I mean, it was for a while, and then he separated. So he's done a great job, and he's earned the opportunity, to start in this game.
Does he handle kickoff?
Robert will be our kickoff guy. so they'll both play.
Is there anything different about him just in terms of his personality, I guess? Do you feel comfortable putting a true freshman out there to do that against a team like Georgia?
I mean, I've played a lot of true freshmen. I've started true freshmen at every position on this team, I believe, at one point or another. So, you know, all you can do is go by what you see at practice. You know, he's earned the right to go do it. It doesn't matter if you're a true freshman or a fifth-year walk-on. You know, you can only go by what you see. So he's around right at 80+% and has had a good camp. And, you know, he's a confident kid. But, you know, he's the all-time high school field goal leader. So he's made a bunch of them. And so he's just – it's the goal. It ain't no different. Just continue to do what he's done his whole life. This is what he's trained for. Obviously, you got a lot of stuff going around, but if you're going to be a great kicker, you know, that stuff can't affect you. So we've tried to create as much pressure on him as we can, and he's responded, and he's been here since January. So it's not like he just got here. And but we signed him to come in here and compete, and he's done that. And Robert has battled as well, but you know, again, Nolan has come out on top to this point.
Dabo, are there any questions that you still have headed into this week that you hope get answered before game time on Saturday about your team?
No, I mean, I know our team. I know our personnel. I know what our strengths are. I know where we you know, or we've got to be smart, if you will. So just want to go see us play. I mean, you got to go. Sooner or later, you got to get going so you can, you know, no matter what happens in this game, there's a long season ahead, and you got to go play. You know, you coach and you teach and you learn every single week, and that's what's fun once you get into the game week to start getting some results and you start getting some feedback on exactly where you are and what you got to do to get better. Win or lose.
Is there an update on maybe someone separated themselves on that pack of running backs behind Phil Moffitt?
Well, I think same guys. You know, they're all going to have an opportunity to play. It starts with Phil, and those other guys will get their opportunity as we go through the game and as we go through the season. And you know, I think we'll to be determined as we go throughout the year. I think all those guys are going to help us. I really do. I don't foresee a situation where any of those guys don't get an opportunity to help us at some point. I really like what I've seen from all of our guys, but does somebody really separate? You know, I think we've gone as far as we can go in practice. Now you got to get to game day and, you know, start stacking some days that way and see what happens. But it all starts with Maffa.
Anticipation for an opener like this, really any opener, but a game of this magnitude right out of the gate builds all off season. Do you get a sense of a different buzz in the building this week now that it's finally game week?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, everything builds to this. I mean, you work all year. I mean, we get 12 Saturdays that we know if, Lord willing, we don't have some catastrophe, we get 12 days that we know we get to play the game of football. So, I mean, you spend the rest of the year preparing, practicing, meeting, training, running, you know, just competing against each other. So now you get a chance. It's finally here, one of those Saturdays. I mean, it's just, you just can't wait to get up and get to work. Like it's, you know, if you're a football guy, this is what you've done your whole life, man. It's like, it never gets old. This is just, you know, it's fun. It's fun when it's finally here because there's so much that goes into it. Again, it's so different from all the other sports, right? You know, baseball, you play every day. Your practice is the game. You know, basketball, it's every few days, couple games a week. You move on quick, you know. Football, man, you live with it for a week, and you only get 12 days and then whatever you get after that, it's what you've earned, you know, through those 12 days. So, but even with that, if it's perfect, you get 16 days. So it's just not a lot, you know, and so. Man, everybody loves football in this country, and it's awesome to be a part of something that people are so passionate about and you know, start thinking about all the way back in the spring. So just glad it's finally here and ready to get going and excited to play, a great opponent. I mean, because I think we'll find out a lot in this game on, where we are and what we got to do to move forward.
Saturday's Florida State, Georgia Tech game, you can see both quarterbacks putting their hands trying to hear. Have you figured out how much you'll use that in-helmet communication, and how will it help in certain parts of the game? When will you not use it?
Yeah. No, I think we'll use it every play. It's an advantage. There might be a few times where, you maybe signal something, but it really doesn't. To me, it's not as much an advantage to signal from the sideline. There may be a couple of tempo things where you're trying to really, really go that you'll use that, but pretty much every play. It's been good. I think it's great. Again, it's a long time coming. I'm not sure what took so long for it to, just like the tablets, I don't know what took so long for that to finally happen. So it's great that we've got video technology on the sideline. That's really good. All the high schools have had it for years now, so we finally got that. But I think it's great because you can really alert your quarterback to some things, and you can have. It's been fun, just going through that all through camp. Being able to, when you get to play in, and it just eliminates a step of having to signal. To get your stuff in, and then your quarterback can communicate it how we want. It adds another tempo. You can huddle a little bit more than maybe you have in the past if you're worried about signals and things like that, protecting your signals, and then drive the tempo from there. But I think just situational awareness, alerts. Certain plays that you, maybe it's a pressure call that you're expecting pressure, but it's not a pressure. Some of your check plays that you have where you can communicate and just, little reminders to your quarterback. So I think it's great, and same thing on the defensive side.
Richmond Weaver, Tiger Tailgate Show, and Rich Take on Sports. How has the opportunity of all your coaches and analysts being able to actually coach, how has that changed how you're approaching, obviously, fall camp and then heading into the season, how important it is?
Well, it's a game changer, and it's an equalizer, because I think a lot of that's been going on across the country anyway, and, so it kind of levels the playing field from that standpoint. So I think it's great. It's been a lot of fun. It's created a lot of intensity, a lot of focus, just much more efficiency with your practice, and being able to, whether it's your indie periods, your group work, your scout work, special teams, because everybody can coach, everybody can teach, and it creates so much more opportunity for guys to, build their resume, start their coaching career, legitimately. And, being able to, anybody can meet with anybody. I think another big benefit is going to be the development of your young players, because now, it's not just the position coach that can sit down and meet guys and watch tape with them. Now, anybody, they can meet with them, watch tape with them. When we do some of our, all throughout practice, when we do some of our good on good periods, we can have scout on the other field because we got enough staff that can go coach and teach it. Where we can have, if we got team pass good on good, we can have our scout team pass, where they're doing Clemson. They're running Clemson's offense and defense, so they're developing, so they're getting reps. Because once you get on a 20-hour clock, you can't rep 3 groups. So you have to be very organized, very efficient in how you go about your practice. And so a lot of times during the season, those guys don't get, a lot of reps, other than just their scout reps, but they're running other people's stuff. So being able to have a staff that can separate and just keep teaching and developing, I think that's great, for the development of your young players. So there's a lot of benefits to it. It's been great for us. It's fun to see all these guys coach. Some of these guys, especially some of these guys that have been around here and just been waiting on the opportunity. It's great to see them be able to, really insert their personality into our team.
How can guys like Lorenzo Ward, who's an older coach, or a John Gross, who's been ahead, how can they provide
Well, that's another big change. Used to, again, none of those people, they could all help game plan, but none of them could coach, or they weren't supposed to coach on the field. They couldn't run meetings. They couldn't do any of that stuff. And the other big change is they couldn't be in the box. You were limited on who you could put in the box. You were limited on who you could put on the headset. You're very limited to that. You couldn't put John Gross in the box. You couldn't put Whammy in the box because they unless they were you could only put on the field coaches or your GAs or somebody that was within 7 years of graduating. So you had these limitations on who could actually go in the box, where now all that doesn't matter. So you can put some seasoned veterans in the box, and you can do it however you want, but you can keep your full-time guys on the field to coach their guys. And you can have, if you've got the right type of people that can go upstairs and give you the type of information that you need. So I think it's great. Like Whammy will be in the box for us. I mean, he's been a long-time defensive coordinator. He can be on a headset. He couldn't have been on a headset, if it wasn't for the rule change. Gross will be in the box. Danny will be in the box. I mean, so, we'll have some veteran people up top to go along with, the other ones that we want to be up there. So it's great. It's a good change.
And I'm assuming you had the Beanie Bowl.
Yeah.
How did that work out? I mean,
Clemson won. Beat the Washington Generals again. All you old people, Harlem Globetrotters, know that. Y'all get that. Do they still play the Washington Generals, the Harlem Globetrotters? Okay, good.
How did that work out there in the Beanie Bowl with everybody?
It's great. It's great. It's why you do it. I mean, there's always things that it's one of those things that you get into it and it's like, it's so much just to do that. But it's so important because you have new people and there's always things that come up, where, for example, okay, you go into your your pregame routine and the managers weren't where they were supposed to be. And so you're coaching them. You got new managers and just ironing out some of the little kinks. And then it's the first time that you've been on the same sideline together since last year. So where do you sit? Where do you go? What's our sideline organization? What's our halftime procedure? Where the personnel, substitutions, special situations. There's a lot going on. So actual subbing from the same sideline and having to react to situations. So it's why you do it. So there were some things that came up. But then also coaches, communication, true game day, everybody on their assignments, that part of special teams. So it's really good. It's one of those things that's, you're like, oh my gosh, it's just because it's a lot to put it together and to get ready for it. But it's so necessary, to try to, iron out some kinks. Again, you wish you had some preseason games, but that we don't.
Hey, Coach Noah Chast, ABC Columbia, also new here, so nice to meet you.
And Noah?
Noah, yeah.
Noah, nice to meet you.
Coach, no number one team has ever lost a preseason game since 1990. Is that a stat you use as motivation? Do you care about? I mean, what do you make of that stat heading into this game?
Sure. Heck, I was a sophomore. I was a redshirt sophomore, number 88 for the Tide in 1990. Woody McCorvey still had black hair, and he had just come from Clemson to Tuscaloosa to be my position coach. Gene Stallings' first year at Alabama in 1990. That's a long time ago. So, I think it is what it is. The reason why. It's most of the time they might screw up a lot of them other ones, but most of the time everybody can figure out who the number one team is, coming out of the gate. They miss on a lot of the rest of them, but usually the number one team, it's maybe there's one or two teams that can vie for it, out of the gate. So probably a pretty good stat, but definitely, it's a great opportunity to do something that hadn't been done, not that it's never been done, but it hadn't been done in 34 years. So great opportunity.
What's your assessment of Cade's confidence in himself heading into this week, and what do you need to see from him on the first couple of drives?
Yeah, I think he's very confident, and he goes against a bunch of good people in practice every day. It's not easy on our practice field. It's not to be able to. Again, I think that's one of your reasons for success is you practice against good people, because the majority of your time in football, it's who you practice against. So he goes against a great group every single day, great coaches, great players, and he's grown. It makes him better. So I think he's in a good spot. I think he grew a lot last year in how he finished. He's carried that over into the offseason. He's really established himself as a leader on this team, and proud of him. But, what we need to see from him Saturday is just what we've seen in the practice. Take care of the ball, make good decisions, manage the game, be opportunistic with his legs when those things present themselves, and just, let it rip, man. Let it rip.
Coach, Clemson, Georgia's rivalry that goes way back. Gary Stokan, the CEO of the Peach Bowl, told me that it was an interesting story how this matchup kind of transpired. Dan Radakovich, when he played Georgia in 21 in Charlotte, he said that they wanted to play the game in Atlanta, but they already had a game scheduled for the Aflac kickoff. Gary Stokan said that they would have done a doubleheader if Dan had called or figured out a way to get Clemson, Georgia playing that game. Can you kind of elaborate on how this all unfolded?
Yeah, ditto there. That's kind of how it all went, I guess. And, I think, honestly, I wish we played Georgia every year just because it'd save a lot of money for everybody, especially our fans, because, why do we got it? We've had to go out to A&M. I think we go to LSU in a couple years. We've tried to always play 10, you better bring your A game type games plus a top group of 5 type of team, which obviously this year we've got that with about as good as you can find in app. And then we've played a team that's kind of been our formula for a long time. So, these schools are close. There's tradition. They're hard. It's a hard game. This is a tough game, but there's a lot of great history with Clemson, Georgia. I grew up. You knew Clemson, Georgia was going to play each other. It was just one of those games that you wanted to watch as a kid. So I think it's good for our fans. It's good for college football.
You mentioned Carson Beck, called him the Heisman potential candidate. Obviously, you're not going to give away the game plan, but what are the challenges that he presents?
He's just really smart. He has great understanding of their scheme. He knows where everybody is. He's accurate. He's a very accurate guy. And as I said earlier, he picks his spots where he'll use his legs. They do just enough with him in the run game to slow you down just a little. But he finds the underneath players. If you leave a check down open, he's going to find him. He knows where he's at, but he doesn't put the ball in jeopardy a whole lot. So just a he's a very good player. Again, he's got a live arm. There's really nothing not to like about the kid. He's a dude. He's a great one.
You mentioned Cade using his legs. How much more comfortable is he in the zone read game and just having a feel for that?
Yeah, much more. That was an area last year where he needed to grow, and he got the same thing, got better as the season went, but especially first half of the season, he too many TFLs where he didn't make the right decisions. He had one, in a poor decision in a critical situation. So just being decisive within the scheme. And that was something we needed to see from him coming out of the season, and just a little more consistency there, and he's done that. He's been really good. If he'll carry those things to game day, he's going to have a great year. I just think his poise, his confidence, his understanding of everything going into year 2 with our scheme is, it should show.
Coach, I know you guys practice a lot of your Tigers traditions before the season, make sure everything's in order. What do you coach as far as a successful run down the hill? Are there some key points for coaching that up?
I don't really coach much on run down the hill. The biggest thing we coach up there is, we get behind the rock, let's respect the rock, let's respect the tradition, and we lock up kind of behind the rock, if you will, with the players, and then let's just get down the hill and let's get to work. There's no real, to each his own. Get on down the hill. Some of them go fast. Some of them will take their time a little bit. Some will jump. But the main thing is how we load and unload the buses, how we lock up behind the rock, and that's pretty much it.
No Monday depth chart this year. Is that because Georgia is not putting one out week 1, or what's the reasoning there?
Yeah, I mean, just so y'all would ask, just to make y'all have to dig a little deeper. They got to buy the subscriptions to all of our Tiger websites and, have to get the inside scoop from Larry on who's playing where and who's running out there first. I guess that's it. I don't know. It seems like a new thing.
When's the last time you think you didn't do a week 1?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't.
Georgia's lost 2 games in the past preseason, I guess. Have you looked at those losses? And
Yeah.
What did Alabama do?
It was a short list. Alabama just they won the line of scrimmage, and they made a few more competitive plays. And if you look at the SEC championship game, they had the critical turnover. It's the difference in the game. I mean, and the crazy thing is the critical turnover was a reverse, and it's fixing to go. It was had it up. They had it. But just the exchange wasn't clean. Balls on the ground. Bam, they come up with it inside the 10 or wherever it was, and it's the difference in the game. What was it, 27-24? Is that what the score was? Yeah, it's just a couple of plays. They made the 2 more plays that you got to make to beat an opponent like this. That's what it comes down to. I mean, 2 plays. I mean, the last time we played them, it was 1 play. And again, there's a lot of plays that you'd love to get back on both sides, but when it came down to it, there was 1 play that decided the game, pick 6.
Obviously, ball security was an issue for you guys last year. I mean, is there anything you can see in practice that gives you faith it's going to be better, or you really just have to see them play?
Well, hopefully I think we're a little more mature, a little more experienced. I mean, we've worked really, really hard at it, just like we did last year. And, so I guess hopefully just the maturity and the experience factor will show up for us. I mean, that's definitely an area that we have to be better. We were really, really poor in ball security last year. And not only, the turnovers, but where they happened were just catastrophic. I mean, you're talking a lot of them were in the red zone. And you put drives together and you get no points, and it's so costly. And it's deflating. It's hard to overcome those things. So just way too many. And hopefully when this season is over, that's an area that we're much improved. And if we are, we'll have a better year.
Coach, with this game being quote-unquote a neutral site, what are you expecting in terms of orange versus red in the crowd, and what are you preparing for in terms of atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the ticket breakdown is. I don't know how that all worked. I don't know if there was backdoor funneling to the Georgia fans. I have no idea. But Clemson will have a ton of fans there. Georgia obviously have a ton of fans there. It'll be an awesome environment. It'll be a great crowd. And we've tried to prepare our guys as much as you possibly can. Again, this is, we're not getting to open at home, where you've got, just what you can expect on the offensive side. It's going to be loud right out of the gate. So, and then you're playing this is a great defense. It's one of the top defenses in the country, and they do a lot of movement. There's a lot of pressures. There's a lot of stemming and stuff like that. And so, being able to be on the same page, catch that movement with your cadence, especially when you have a silent cadence, those are challenges when you have a ton of noise. So you have to practice that. You got to really work hard on that. And so that's why you try to create as much unrealistic noise in practice as you can, in your blitz periods, in your run periods and run fits and protections with, again, all the movement that they don't just line up. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they're moving. So being able to communicate and be on the same page and, again, execute your cadence in that environment is always a challenge. I mean, it's what you do, but when you haven't played in a while, that's something that certainly you worry about going into a game like this. So you try to prepare the best you can.
Is it kind of crazy that in your career, most of your career at Clemson's head coach, that most of the games you start the season with have been on the road or neutral sites?
Yeah, that sounds like an AD problem. At grahamneff.com. I don't think we've had a home opener since 19, maybe. So, and then not only that, I mean, you look around the country and you go, boy, it'd be nice to maybe have a little, I remember, I think I told y'all, Coach Spurrier called me one time. We both got beat in a and matter of fact, it was the Georgia game. We played Georgia in 14, and he called me on that. And I think they played Texas A&M and just got boat raced the whole game, like all 4 quarters. And it's this classic Spurrier. I still got the voicemail, and he calls me, and he's just like, and then I call him back, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know why we schedule these games. I tell you, I just don't know. We go play that team over here down the road, get a little win, everybody's happy, get to work out some of them problems, because there are going to be some problems. Yeah, I don't know why we schedule these games like this right out of the gate, and he says, yeah, but hey, look, I just calling you. Yeah, it looked like y'all got your ass kicked for, 1 quarter. We got ours kicked for 4 quarters, but hey, just wanted to tell you, hey, just keep your head up. A long season ahead. We'll keep moving. Classic Spurrier, and I always appreciated that about him. Because he has this persona, but he really was a good dude. He's still a good dude, and just very caring, and I think he took pride in maybe helping mentor me a little bit and try to teach me, and he called me several times over his career here to just, and even to this day, to just give me his little insight or a pick me up, or even when they beat us. I can't remember, they beat us, I think, in 13, and we had like 6 turnovers. And he's like, I tell you, yeah, y'all beat everybody. Y'all just can't hold on that ball when y'all play us. I don't know what it is, And so he always had his way of trying to encourage it, but I remember that specifically. So maybe one of these days we'll have one of them little openers. We can make some mistakes and still win and go get better. But this ain't one of them. You make mistakes in this one, you get beat. That's one thing I can say about Georgia. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They seldom beat themselves. They're a well-coached team, and we'll have our hands full. But, yeah, one of these days we'll get a home game. Well, I think we got a home game next year. But we got another one of them easy ones. I think we got LSU right here. So we'll run it back this time next year in the Valley. But it will be nice to finally have a game. At least we're not on Monday night. I think we went 2 years in a row on the road Monday night. So that's a completely quirky deal, and you come back and play again on Saturday. So it's good to play on Saturday, that's for sure.
Talking about your radio show, it was interesting about the green dot players on defense and how is it that 2 of them can't be on the field at the same time?
Yeah,
so if you have other helmets
or offense. You can't have 2 green dot people on the field at the same time. They might give you a pass on special teams if you got your 2 Mike backers that have the green dot. If they're on kickoff, they might give you a pass on that. I don't think you're supposed to, but I'm not sure they're hunting that. But certainly on offense and defense, you can't have the running back with a green dot and the quarterback with a green dot, or an offensive lineman with the green dot and the quarterback with the green dot. That's just the rule.
Is there a concern on defense at all in terms of personnel not being able to have these 2 linebackers on the field together, or not really?
No.
How do you feel about the depth at tackle, interior defensive tackle? Sorry.
Good. I mean, we've got 3 really, really good veteran players, right there that I kind of look at all 3 of them as starters. I think they'll play that way in Cape and Peyton and Trey. And then, we got some talented guys behind them that, they gotta by the end of the year, they gotta be dudes for us. We need them to be dudes Saturday, and hopefully we'll see that. But, Steph Island is a very talented young player. Burley's a very talented young player. So, we really like those guys a lot and what they bring to the table. And then we signed Heaven, we signed Champ. So, it's a good group of young guys that we recruited to come in here and help us. But thankfully, we don't need any of them to run out there first right now. We need them to just be good depth guys, and we'll lean on those first 3 guys to set the tone.
I can't imagine how excited Sammy Brown is for this game. I imagine he'll start on special teams. How have you seen the learning curve go for him since January?
It's been good. I mean, you could tell in the spring. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot on him. I think more scheme than probably what he's had to deal with. And again, that's just, I mean, if you really watched his career, he played about every snap, of offense and defense. So it's not like he just played defense and spent his whole time preparing for defense. I mean, he had to know offense too, and a lot of things. So I think there was a lot thrown at him purposely this spring to get him ready. Physically, he was ready to go the day he got here. I mean, he's one of the freakiest dudes to walk in the door. I mean, big, strong, fast, can jump. I mean, he's near the top in about every category. He's state wrestling champ, state lifting champ. Football, you name it. I mean, he's just a winner and a great kid. But it's really slowed down for him. He's still got still got a learning curve to go, but it's really slowed down. And he put the work in from the spring, and then when he came out of spring on what he had to do to get better this fall camp, and he's done that. So he's put himself in a good spot to help us and be a backup there. And I would say the same thing that I just said about our young D tackles. Hopefully it's a situation we can, have a little good fortune this year with some key guys staying healthy like Barrett and Wood has, to where we can bring him at a good pace. Because I think he's just going to get better and better and better.
Got about 90 more seconds before we need to transition to West Goodwin if anybody has one more question.
Did you miss the live interaction with your fans last night on the call?
I was hoping you would call in. I checked for your text. I didn't see it. That was good. It was good. It was good to get back going, and some good questions. Hopefully, we'll be able to cover more topics and get more done, and have more than 2 or 3 people that call in. Still love Becky. Shout out to Becky, and we still love her. So.
People think that the Tyler call from last year, led to the decision not to take calls. What was just behind the decision?
Well, actually, and that's what people will assume, and that was brought up in, all the stuff. But actually, internally, they've been talking about it for a while to make a change to the format and really look at what most other people were doing, being able to take more questions, being able to talk more ball, being able to, not just have 2 or 3 people that you spend the evening talking to, but that certainly didn't help the calls, that's for sure. But it's all good, man. Tyler's a great Clemson man, and always will be.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
All right, appreciate it. My new dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nilla. I got her last spring. Yeah, so got Levi.
Okay.
And, so I wanted, I got daughter-in-laws now, so I got a lot of women in my life. I've never really had that situation. So Hershey had died, and so wanted to get a new dog. So we love Levi, our little gold noodle, and so we want to get the same dog. So we get this new little dog, and I want to get another, and I want to name it RJ for Raymond James, and we got 2 daddy dogs, and we've got Levi named after Levi Stadium, but so they decided they wanted a girl dog. And I'm like, well, I don't want a girl dog, I wanted a boy dog, and I lost that. So next thing you know, we got a girl dog. I don't really know what's the girl dog on it, but she's the sweetest. She's just my little. She sleeps right next to me. She's the sweetest thing. And so now we got to name her something. I want to name her RJ. And they're like, we can't name her RJ. I'm like, what do you mean we can't name her RJ? The girl's named RJ. And they're like, we can't name her RJ. Well, just call her Raymondetta Jameson. And they're like, that ain't happening. So I came up with Nilla because that's all in backwards. So if you spell all in backwards, you get Nilla. So that's my little sweet girl. That was my Hershey. So I got Levi and Dylan. She's all in, that's for sure. So I'm a big fan now of girl dogs, by the way.
We're gonna look at no waivers the same.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you,
All right,
Coach.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.